Hello everyone and welcome to another video in this channel. My name is Abraham Lil and today we're going to continue with the Pokeball. There's another thing that I want to do. I was actually having a little bit of a bad day and I was reading some of the comments from the last, the first Pokemon video, and a lot of people were asking about showing you how I would open the Pokeball, how I would create a model of an open Pokeball. So I want to do that. I want to show you how we can pretty much create that. So I'm going to go here to the sphere and I'm going to say mesh and separate to get all of the different pieces, and let's hide some of the pieces that we don't need. So this guy's Control G to group them. You can see there's this group right here, H, and there we go. And this is what we have. So these two pieces, we already, like, they are working pretty much as intended. Like, this is what I want these pieces to be. There's not a lot of information about like an open Pokeball. You can see this is pretty much what we have right here. And again, it's not bad, but there's not enough information, so we're gonna have to invent a couple of things. The first thing I'm seeing is that we have an inner like sphere, right, on both halves. So I'm gonna go up here, and again, it's a little bit difficult to see, but you can see that it's actually it's not like going through. It's not hollow. The hollow part is this white part, which is quite handy for us because we can create this sphere. Let's give it a smooth. So I'm going to say mesh smooth. There we go. Actually, this thing, I'm not even sure if we center this, but the sphere should be centered. Let me grab these two guys. That's a problem because we did move the sphere at one point. It might be a little bit difficult to make it fit like exactly or precisely as it should. Let's do our best here. There we go. Something like this. So what I want this, or what I want to achieve is I want this sphere to be touching the borders here, that border right there. So I need to increase the size a little bit more. There we go. So there's a little bit of an overlap. That overlap is going to be really, really important. Now, as you can see again here on the reference, well, on this thing, I can already see that we're going to have to kind of like squeeze the ball just a little bit so we don't get a bad overlap on the top part, something like that. And now, this piece right here, again, you can see that it's the inside of the sphere. So I'm gonna select this thing. Let's isolate that real quick. I'm gonna Control E to extrude it. Actually, no. Let's go here first. I'm gonna delete the inner faces. There we go. That's the border of that sphere. And now with those borders deleted, I'm gonna press Control E. I'm gonna extrude inwards like this to give it like the thickness that it should have, which is something or around there. We're of course gonna say mesh display and reverse, and to make sure that these borders are nice and clean, we're gonna bevel them. So let's do a bevel. It's gonna be a sharp bevel, so two sections and a very small fraction, and there we go. So now this is the black part. I'm actually gonna eliminate this black part. We're gonna have to do it again, but this will be like the inside of the Pokeball, right? Now, again, this part right here is gonna be pretty much covered by the inside of the Pokeball. So we have the black band that goes and kind of like rests on top of this thing right here, and then we have the buttons, which our buttons are right here. So the buttons are fine. We're gonna keep those, but now we need to create the black band, and this is one of the tricky parts. So we did have this very nice like black band before, but the problem was that it was not, we had both sides of a sphere, like the poles of a sphere, and that's not really what we want. So I'm gonna create a new sphere right here. I'm gonna try to center it probably with the other sphere or with the button. Yeah, let's center it with the button. There we go. And we're gonna push it out like this. Now, we don't need all of the divisions, right? So if we go to face mode, we don't need all of this guys or all of this guys. We can keep just this band right here, which would be, again, the black band. Probably can increase this a little bit more. Let's press number 3, which would be our smooth option. There we go. So something like that would be our main thing. But the problem is that we do need to get like this very circular looking cap on the front. This is where topology comes into play and where we need to utilize all of the tools that we have at our disposal to get the best possible shape. So I'm going to create a new sphere. I'm going to rotate this around 90 degrees. And I'm going to use this to, let's of course snap it there to the center. And we're going to use it to create the sphere shape, which is something like that. So as you can see, if I delete this and this cap right here, let's press this button right here, which is our no textures button. So this face right here, center the pivot point, if we push it in and we smooth it, that's going to give us the roundness that we want here on the black section. Now the tricky part is we need to combine these two objects into a single object so that we get, well, the best possible result. So there's always a lot of ways to do things, right? The most obvious one is to just delete these things right here and see if the amount of topology that we have right here can match with this one as easily as possible. And I think it can. I'm just going to make sure that we get this as close as possible. I think that's a good approximation. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to combine the objects, and then I'm going to grab this vertex, and with the V, I'm going to snap it to the points right there, as you can see right about there. Okay. And I'm going to do the same thing over here. I do have smooth turned on right now. That's why it's looking a little bit smooth. V, snap, V, snap, and V, and snap. If I go into number 3, there we go. Number 1, sorry, you're going to see this. Now, what we need to do is we need to grab those, both of them, and just combine them. We're going to combine them, merge them into a single vertex. And what we've pretty much combined here is we've grabbed pieces from one sphere and another sphere, and we've combined it into this interesting looking shape right here. And some of you might be like, well, is this going to work? And the answer is yes, it will work, because as you can see, it's just the band. It doesn't have any extra information. So we're just going to say mesh. Let's smooth this to give it them a couple of more subdivisions. Just make sure that there's no like empty like corners or anything. Everything seems to be working fine here. And we definitely need to give it some thickness. I'm going to control E. I'm going to give some thickness in. And of course, we're going to say mesh display, reverse. And the top border and the lower border, we're going to bevel. Oh, careful here. See this? This is a very common thing with bevels. Anytime you do a bevel, you always want to complete the loop if you can, so that you don't get any weird angles. It's a very, very common issue with bevels. There we go. Perfect. So that's it. Now, as you can see, or as you can imagine, we have these two pieces right here. I'm actually going to group them together because this is the top half. I'm actually going to group everything, all of these guys together. So Control G to all of them. And if we go to the right view and we move the pivot point to the base of the back part, which would be right around there, that's how the Pokeball would open, right? Like that's what I would expect the Pokeball, at least based on what we're seeing here, where the band, like the black band goes up. This is what I would expect the Pokeball to do. And we would get this like section there. Looks very nice. Of course, there's the other half of the sphere. This is where, again, things get a little bit tricky because we're starting to get a lot of different parts. So this guy right here, I'm going to say mesh and separate. This is going to be the top part. And let's get it. Where's this guy? There we go. So we grab the top part. And we're just going to middle mouse and drag it to this new group. And we're going to call this top Pokeball. There we go. So now if we hide this, as you can see, we're going to get the low Pokeball. So this, let's Control G again. And this is going to be low or bot Pokeball. And that way we have the two sections. And here's again, the cool thing is on this group, as you can see, I move the pivot point to the back. So when I rotate this, this is how the Pokeball will open, right? As you can see, there's a little bit of an overlap there. Oh my God. I don't see a hinge on this Pokeball right here. So there's a couple of ways to fix this. The first one, oh my God, would be to move the pivot point a little bit lower so that when we rotate or just like stop the hinge right about there, like we can limit the amount of rotation that we can get. But to be honest, I think adding a hinge might not be a bad idea. We can make it look like sci-fi-ish, hinge, and it's gonna be fine. Now, all of these things right here, except for this group, which is the light. Let's call this light. All of these things right here, we can just delete. Well, before we do that, just make sure that we delete history. There we go. and all of these things, just delete. Mainly so that we are working with clean stuff. This does mean that we need to do the what's the word? We do need to do UVs and textures again. Don't worry, I'm not gonna bother with bore you with that, guys. I'll do it myself. But yeah, this is how you would like normally handle something like this. Now, here's another cool trick that we can use. I'm gonna go to the top Pokeball. I'm gonna create a layer here. I'm gonna hide it so that we can work on the bottom half, which, as you can see, it's very similar on both sides. It's this sort of like sci-fi-ish panel looking things that we need to create. So I can see 1, 2, 3, and I imagine there's going to be like a 4th window on the front, and that we actually already have this section right here. So I'm going to duplicate this thing. Let's go out, and we're going to use this as a base to create the sort of pattern that we have right here. So first of all, there's like a broad effect. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. I think that's a good amount. And I'm going to say mesh. Edit mesh and duplicate. This will duplicate those points, as you can see right here. It's kind of like an extrusion. And there we go. So now we have this thing, and we can extrude it and give it a little bit of thickness to create the paneling that we get again here on the example. So this one right here. Now you can see that this paneling is like divided into a couple of pieces. So if we go to the top view, that's rather easy to do. It's not symmetrical, but I am going to make it symmetrical, and then I'll show you what we're going to do. So I'm going to divide or delete half of this like that. And then I can say from this 4 to this 4, we're going to bridge. And then from this 4 to this 4, I'm also going to bridge. We definitely need a couple of bevels. So I'm going to go through the whole border, especially the top border. I think this one. I'm going to bevel it. Give it a small fraction. There we go. So if we smooth this, we get this. And then we're going to use our cut tool to insert some support edges on the corners. They don't need to be super exact. And there we go. So now we have this very cool looking panel. And what we can do with this is go to the top view. The pivot point's still there. So we can just duplicate this, rotate this 90 degrees. And that's going to add a cut right there. That's going to make things look quite interesting, right? And then we can grab both of them and then rotate them 270 degrees, and one of them is going to be 180. There we go. Now we have 4 panels for the Pokeball, and all of the things that we're going to do on this like side of the Pokeball, we're also going to do it on the top side. So no big deal. That will be like this line that you're seeing right here. Then we have the windows, or like some sort of windows. So same process. We're just going to grab the sections. Probably one more. There we go. We're going to do the same thing. Edit mesh. Duplicate. To duplicate those elements, we can push them a little bit up. There we go. And to save ourselves a headache, always try to find a way to work in a simple way. So we delete like all of those quarters. We just focus on this one, which is this sort of like interesting window. I'm going to Control E to give this an extrusion. Push it up. Grab whole border, bevel it. I'm going to keep this a little bit softer, so something like that. And then I'm going to select this inner faces right here. And we need to create, again, that sort of like mirror or window effect. So Control E. I'm going to inset first, or offset, to create an edge loop. Edge loops are really important. And then we're going to Control E again and just push this in. And there we go. Now, those faces that I actually had there, I'm actually going to like duplicate them again. So I'm going to say edit mesh and duplicate. Now we have this one. I'm going to extrude this ones up. And the reason why I want to do this is because these are going to be the windows. So this is going to be metal and this is going to be a window, or like an emissive map or something. So we want different geometries to hold different materials. Now this one, this little window right here, it might not be a bad idea to already bevel it. And in this case, I am going to bevel all of the corners like you're seeing right here. There we go. So bevel. 2 segments in a small fraction. So when we smooth, as you can see, we get this. Now I am going to assign a new material to this one. So I'm going to do a Lambert. It just changes to like a blue Lambert. I'm going to get rid of this one just so that we see what's going on. As you can see, that's pretty much it. This one, as you can see, we get a round effect. So we also need to like add a couple of support edges. I'm gonna add one there and one there at the window. I'm gonna add one there, and one there, and that should be more than enough. I kind of want to avoid this sort of like weird pinches that you're seeing right there. So I'm actually gonna try. Let me see if I can get this to work. Let's delete that one. Let's delete that one. I mean, I don't think it's the end of the day if we have that little pinch right there. But even like a round window, I think it looks interesting. Hopefully you guys agree as well. It's a shame that we're not seeing this at the and like in a live stream or something, but there we go. So now we can grab this too, guys. Let's freeze transformations. We're gonna say Control D, duplicate and move this around 90 degrees, and then do the same thing. Control D, rotate 180 degrees. Control D, and do 270. There we go. As you can see, we're creating this very, very interesting effects right here. Finally, we have the final like pizza sections, like a pizza section right here. So we're just gonna extract it in pretty much the same fashion from this. Here's a trick. Vertex, select the first vertex, Control F11. It's gonna select all of them. And now we can select all of the faces. There we go. Edit mesh, duplicate. Select that mesh. Control E, push it in. This one again, I'm gonna be a little bit aggressive on the bevel like that, and then I'm gonna bevel this new like borders that we get, just so that we change the silhouette a little bit, create something more interesting, right? So you can see how it goes from this like soft effect to like a sharp effect. And then on the reference, I can see that there's like a pizza section at the center, like right about. I will probably go there, like small one. I'm gonna say bevel, small fraction, and then select this, guys. Control E, and push it in. I'm not particularly fond of the the 4 segments on this last piece. I think it looks a little bit more interesting, like a round piece, like this lines right there. I don't love them. So this is where, of course, you can take a little bit of artistic liberties and do things slightly different. I might even grab like this guy right here, Control E. Let's do a little bit of offset, and then Control E again, and just push it in, so we get a like this sort of like interesting detail. Look at that, like a machine part. I think looks quite nice. So this will be like the bottom part of the Pokeball, this thing. You can see we have this little like orange bits. So let's add them. I'm gonna add a sphere. Make it really small. I'm gonna use snapping points to try to get it as close as possible to where it's supposed to be. So I would say right around there. Control D. Let's position it right there. There's spheres, so no need to overthink this. We have 2 of them, so that's pretty much it. And then we grab this 2. This is important. I'm gonna combine them, and then I'm gonna move the pivot point to the center. So with D and X, I'm gonna move it to the center, so that we can duplicate this, rotate this 90 degrees, rotate this 180 degrees, and then rotate this 270 degrees. And there we go. We got this. I think that's pretty much it. Like if we're following the official concept, I'm gonna just quickly look to see if there's more like information about a Pokeball, like the inside of a Pokeball. I think that's the only one. Yeah, as you can see, most of them follow like a very similar process. So I think we're being very faithful to the Pokeball universe. I'm thinking about like if whether or not like having like an extra, an extra band or something here might be good. I don't think so. I think keeping it simple might be a good idea for this particular case. And now, if you take a look at this, you're gonna see that it's not uniform. So when you open the Pokeball, let's bring this in. When you open the Pokeball, this thing is not aligned to the center. It's actually like rotated 45 degrees. But that's why we spend so much time right now doing this. Let me combine the bits. So this 4 bits, I'm going to combine. I'm going to combine the 4 glasses. And then I'm going to combine like the panels. And I'm going to combine this outer panels as well. There we go. So now we have this, all of these pieces and this piece right here. Let's Shift P to get this out of the parent and get all of this, guys. I'm going to Control G and I'm going to call this inner Pokeball bot. And then the only thing we need to do is rotate this 45 degrees. So it's easier a lot of times to model things straight, like symmetrical, and then just twist them around. I'm gonna go to the group here, and this is why we're not like freezing the transformations. We're just gonna close this. We're gonna get the bottom Pokeball into a layer, and I'm gonna turn it off. There we go. And then I'm gonna grab this inner Pokeball, duplicate this. I am gonna bring the pivot point of this thing up to this point right here. I am gonna freeze the transformations. We can at any point just bring it back. And we're gonna rotate this 180 degrees. And technically that should like create the top part of the Pokeball as well. That's it. So this inner Pokeball, I'm gonna get this inside with middle mouse click of the top Pokeball, so that when we open the top Pokeball, all of the like insides of the Pokeball are also opened. And this one, we'll just need to bring the other Pokeball in. And that's pretty much it. Like that will be the modeling section of the Pokeball. So I'm gonna stop the video right here, guys. Again, this is pretty much it. I'm just gonna show you one more thing because fortunately we were able to keep most of the stuff. I'm gonna Control S right now to save everything. So let's close this a little bit like this. So if I get a render right now, I need to of course bring the light in. So if we get a render right now, pretty much all of the textures of the Pokeball are here. Like the grass, the scratches, and everything. I actually want to use maybe the Safari Ball or some of the other ones that we did. But we did lost this one right here. So I can just very quickly assign a new material. It's going to be a Arnold AI Standard Surface. It's going to be like a dark material. It's going to be like the dark glossy material. Let's go really... There we go. Like a black material. Probably a little bit less. Or we can just increase the roughness a little bit. There we go. And then on the inside, I can see that it's like metallic bits. So I'm going to grab all of this, guys. I'm going to assign a new material. Arnold, AI Standard. We're going to turn metalness all the way up. So now these things are going to be metal. You can see we get a very cool looking metallic thing there. And we got the little spheres, of course. So assign a new material. Arnold, AI Standard Surface. This, if I remember, were like orange. So I'm going to go for this orange spheres. Probably going to be able to see this one's a little bit better. There we go. And finally, this thing is right here. I think they're supposed to be like mirrors or glass. So I'm going to say Arnold, AI Standard Surface. And I'm going to bring the roughness down. And the specular is going to be, again, like this blue specular thing. So now what should happen is we should see this reflecting a little bit more. We're not going to use any weight on the color. So it's going to be purely specular. We can even like turn the, I think, or we can keep the color and just push it with some color as well. Can increase the index of refraction as well. A little bit of anisotropy might be a good idea. There we go. We can play around with that looks a lot better. Of course, this part right here, which is actually, I don't remember. Black. It's supposed to be black. So let's just assign the existing material. I think it was surface 6. No, it was surface 4. That's why it's important to name things. It was surface 6. So surface 6. Was it not? Yeah. Study history. Let's close this and just re-render. Sometimes materials don't load properly. Ah, that's really weird. Is there like a double layer there? Oh, there was a double layer. Okay. There was a double layer there by some reason. There we go. So that's it. As you can see, that's how we would open a Pokeball. Everything's looking quite nice. Again, I'm gonna have to texture this inside of Substance to get like the proper textures and everything. But you can see that it was not that difficult. It's just using what we already had and the tools that we have available, and now we have this very cool looking thing. For the final render, you're probably gonna see like the Pokeball completely assembled. I just do that to get like a nice thumbnail. But again, we did a live stream this weekend where I did like this Safari Ball, and yesterday I uploaded the one about the stylized painting, stylized hand painted things. So you might want to check those ones out if you want to learn a little bit more about texturing. And don't forget that we have today is the last day for our promo code BF Black Friday 2022, 90% off, including the Substance Painter courses that you can check in Udemy. Yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Thank you very much. I'll see you back on the next one. Bye bye.